Hey guys, this is V Man from No Budget Productions, and with me today is my good friend Glen Wolfe. Glen, how are we doing, my friend?
Doing very good. Thank you so much. How was your Thanksgiving?
Oh, I had lost weight. The doctor put me
Didn't
on a
they?
diet, and got my blood pressure down, got my weight down. And Thanksgiving came, and man, you know, I feel bloated and fat still. I'm filling out those Starfleet uniforms I got, so it's good. It's good. How was yours, man?
Mine was good. Went to Chicago, visited family. Like you, ate too much. Probably gained a few pounds, but it's life. Hey, if you got your pizza roll, you got to eat it, right?
There you go, man. There you go, man. I think we're getting older in age. It's okay if we pack on a few pounds. If we look a little bit more like Star Trek Five, Jimmy Doohan. We're okay. We're good. It's all right. That's a sign of a good life.
There you
So
go.
it's all good. It's all good. So with us in the chat right now, we got Frank Parker Jr. Says good afternoon, ladies and germs. Good afternoon, Frank.
Hello,
Then we
Frank.
have good old Scotty John. Says greetings and salutations. Scott, how are we doing?
Yeah, I believe happy birthday, I think, if I'm not
Yes, it
mistaken.
is. Yes, it is. Frank Parker says, Scott, the birthday boy. Scott, you better behave or I'm going to have to spank you there, Scott. So, let us know how old you are in the comments, Scott. I'm not sure how old you are. So let us know, man. So, one thing I always try to start the show off with is what got you involved with Star Trek? Because we're kind of living in a renaissance of Star Trek these days. We have Star Trek Discovery. We've got Star Trek Picard. We've got Strange New Worlds coming up. We've got Prodigy. We've got
Lower decks.
Will, yeah, we got Lower Decks. William Wells in the chat says, "Hey guys." Uh, Frank Parker says, "Hey Vance, stop cheating on me." You calm down, Frank. Yeah, we got a ton of Star Trek now, which is, go back 5, 6 years. We never would have thought this because, everyone was, fighting over the Kelvin movies. Um, what what do you think of modern Star Trek as opposed to classic Star Trek? Are you a fan, or is it something where you're like, really not my cup of tea?
Well, a fan, yes, because it's Star Trek. Unfortunately, most of them are not my cup of tea. I guess maybe because I'm just too old. I prefer, although I hear Strange New Worlds is going back to the original format, which I can't wait to see that.
Right.
I like self-contained episodes. I don't like, 10 episode story arcs, because I don't have time to sit down and watch the 10. And I want to be able to pick an episode at random and watch it, and I got the whole story. So I do watch the new Star Trek. Oddly, of the latest ones, I actually thought Lower Decks was the best because it's more the format I like, which is turn it on, watch it, it's over, move on. So, so yeah, I'm a Star Trek fan, just not liking long, drawn out story arcs. But overall, they're okay. But I still, of course, prefer TOS and Next Gen are still my favorite.
Well, and the good thing about Lower Decks, I first started watching it and I was like not a fan because I saw it much like a parody instead of an
Yeah.
actual love letter. But upon watching it for a second viewing, I picked up on what they were doing and I was like, watching it without others who were kind of negative on the show, watching it kind of by myself and kind of laughing at it, um, you know, how it should be, viewed. I saw the Easter eggs and the love that they had, which is kind of not there in Discovery or even Picard. I feel because I've said before, like Star Trek Picard, it makes me want to not take my heart medication. It's like it's pretty grim, but there's none of that in Lower Decks. It is very episodic. You can pick up any random episode. You know what's going on. You see the love. You see the nods to the other stuff. And it's very Trek, in tone. And you're right. Strange New Worlds. It should be episodic. Because I know any random day I can pick up. I can turn on yesterday's Enterprise from Next Gen and be immersed and then shut it off, be good to go. And it's a nice return to form. Hopefully. So Josh Irwin's in the chat says Wolfe is the ultimate fan film superhero, and that is very true. You've been in several films, sometimes even in the one scene here, the next scene you're on the bridge, you're in the transporter room. You're like, wait, what? It's two different characters. You are you're all over the place in fan films, doing God knows what. You kind of they used to call me the Where's Waldo of fan films, and but you are kind of the Where's Waldo. You pop up in everything. You were in Renegades.
Yep.
You were in
Yes.
Renegades.
That was my first on-screen appearance.
Yeah. Scott Johnson says he's 57 today. Again, happy birthday, Scott. I hope you have plenty of cake and ice cream for us, man. Me, I always get a little Caesar's pizza. So if that's on your agenda, get some good pizza. Don't get that El Cheapo stuff like I do. Daniel Vance says, put your dogs away. There's a wolf roaming about. There you go, man. So you've had time on James Cawley's set.
Yep.
You were on Renegades.
Yep.
How did you come upon knowing about James Cawley? How did that come about?
Well, oddly, it was because I was buying a pirated video, which I did not know at the time, but I was surfing eBay, just looking for random Star Trek stuff, and the episode with George Takei in it, I think it's called World Enough in Time. They were selling DVDs that looked like professional DVDs on there. Somebody was pirating DVDs, but I didn't know. I didn't even know about fan films. But I recognized, hey, that's George. This must be some Star Trek I've never heard of. So I bought it. And then I get it, and then I'm reading the credits. I'm like, wait a minute. This is really good, but this isn't actually Star Trek. So I started messaging James to find out, what this is. I find out it's something called Phase 2. I go on the internet. I find out, oh, they've got several episodes out. So then I, started, bugging him to let me come up and volunteer. And, after messaging him on and off for about 6 months, the next shoot came about, which was The Holiest Thing. And he, had me come up. Then and from there, I worked with him on everything since then on that. So that's how I got involved with James. But actually, my first foray into fan films was Renegades, which somehow my wife's brother found. They were doing a Kickstarter or something. I don't know, which is something else I never knew about. But he said, "Hey, I think Glen would like to do this." So he sent the link to my wife, and she made a donation to get me on it. And so I went out to California and shot Renegades. So that was my first foray, and then, like I said, I met James after that, and worked on all of the rest of the Phase 2 stuff from there.
Oh wow! So that was working with Star Trek Continues. No, yes. Star Trek Phase 2. Wait,
done both.
So okay, I see. I was only aware of the one. So. And I always, again, I'm terrible with names. Anyone that knows me knows that I'm shitty with names. So what was your introduction with Star Trek Continues?
Well, I met Vic at Renegades. We were in the same scene. Vic was the Cardassian in prison. How much you remember it? And I was one of the other prisoners in the background while he was getting beat up by Lexa Singh. So I met Vic there. And he was talking about doing Star Trek Continues. So obviously, I don't know who's, not friends with who. So I'm like, hey, I'd like to come down and work on that. He says, okay, well, here's the shoot dates. And, he gave me a link and some stuff, and I signed up and went down and worked on that. And then that's when I found out that some people don't like other people because I did get some messages from the other group about why was I shooting with Vic when I was supposed to be a family member of the other group.
Right. Yeah, that was when I first came in. That was very you were Team Vic or Team Cawley. It was very apparent of like you got to pick one of the and it's one of those like I never really liked being like I don't want to fight. I just want to make fan films. Yeah. Like I just want to have fun.
Didn't have fun, and of course Vic branched off from Cawley because he started there and got half of his actors from Cawley, and and then he got his set from John Broughton. So I don't know. Like I said, I just want to have fun. So I didn't know I was, stepping on people's toes. I was just having fun.
So going from um, both of those sets, you had quite the experience on larger budgets, not Constar quite budgets, mind you, but you had quite the experience. How does that lead into doing the Federation files, doing your own type stuff? Because obviously, when you're around other productions, you kind of pick up, well, this is how this person does this, this is how this person does this, and you get to see, how things are made, how things are done, and you kind of pick up your own. Well, how would I do this? Because I know working with everybody at the old Starbase and seeing how Michael did, his stuff, and how you would do, shoot certain things, and how like Words would have his TV monitor thing, and I didn't know what the hell that was. What is that? But seeing how everybody would do stuff, seeing Scott Light stuff, and how he would do things, again, stuff that I don't, stuff that I utilize in some capacity now, but stuff that I didn't even realize I was picking up on. You gain that knowledge. Um, where do you lead from going from other people? Kind of being a side step there to doing your own. What was the inspiration for that?
Well, I oddly have always been interested in doing fan films. I wrote and started doing a Star Wars fan film when I was in high school. So I've always had the desire to do something like that. So, and I've written many Star Trek fan novels, which I never set anywhere. I just like writing. So I've been writing since I was in high school.
See,
Um,
I never even knew that about you. That is. Do you still have those
oh
around?
yeah, we're making them into episodes now. Yeah,
Oh wow.
yeah. So yeah, some of the stuff that you've seen has actually been written for 20, 30 years. So I just changed the character because I always wrote, with the main character. So if I was doing a
Right.
next gen, it was, Picard and Riker. But with Federation Files, doing an anthology series, we're just changing the main characters' names and just going with it. So some of the scripts you've seen are very old. Some I write on the fly, like Green Manifesto. That whole thing came together in like 3 days, from script to shoot to here, Dan, edit this and get it out. Um, because that was a short. It was 5+ minutes. So that was shot at the same time we were wrapping up. I think it was it Voices from the Past, maybe, or maybe it was Mask. Anyway, we shot that. Yeah, I think it was Mask. So the last scene of Mask and the Green Manifesto were shot in like 3 hours one evening. Um, and Green Manifesto was kind of a throw in. Just kind of wrote it on the fly, and I got actors here. Let's do it. So, um, so anyway, writing, long time writer. Played with the idea of making a film in high school, but technology was not there for a 14-year-old kid with his buddies, working on zero budget, and all we really had, we had 8mm camera, and we shot maybe 2 scenes because I had to, like now, build everything. It just you don't have your own place. You're working in your parents' garage or backyard or whatever, and of course they don't get it. So at some point it's like, hey, get this crap out of the garage and put the car back in here. so
So
so so
real
anyway,
quick,
I learned a lot though doing fan films. Starting with Hollywood and working my way down. It was quite an experience. On the when do we get to my budget? Which is my budget's maybe twice yours. So you know
so we have real quick in the chat, Daniel Vance has a link to the federationfiles.com,
thank you.
your guys' website. So anybody in the chat, go support the website, and I will be putting a link to the Federation Files YouTube in the description. I'll be doing that after the show. So if you're watching this live, give me about 5 minutes after the show, and I'll be putting that in the description of this show. And if you're watching this in the rewind, just click on the description and hit it. go subscribe to their channel, go watch one of the films, hit the thumbs up, leave a comment, support them, because honestly, that the support that you guys give by commenting on a video, that support is tremendous. I mean, that right there, none of us make a profit off this shit. The comments, that goes a long way. Being positive is huge. Dan Lee's comment says Glenn is trying to be creative with his sun flare effect.
There's a window over there. I couldn't get the curtains. My wife buys see-through curtains, so what are you gonna do?
And Dan says a famous thing that we hear all the time on set. I'll fix that in post.
Yes, I'll be sending you the video, Dan.
So one thing that I really love about the Federation Files is you tell a story that not only you're not like the Constar series where we follow a ship, or we follow a certain crew member, or we do a certain type. You have you have several different crews and people, and the one of the most, because the stories that you had that really stood out to me was, and again, I'm terrible with names, so forgive me. It was the one, the time travel, where it was a kind of a mystery one, and you have all these links to Trek and the time travel stuff that's going through, and I'm sitting there the whole time going, what is going on? Like, this is kind of interesting, and it's at the end where it kind of just, you see all these Easter eggs and these nuggets, and it's just like, oh, this is good. But you set up characters that you really were invested in, and then at the end you're like, oh damn, I can't wait to see where this finishes.
So I think you mean Voices from the Past, I believe, is what we want to talk about with the detectives.
Yes.
Yeah. I enjoyed writing that one immensely.
Yeah, that one was really, really good. And that's the type of thing that I love about fan films. I mean, and again, I love I do love all Trek in their own way. I try not to be one of those negative, I hate modern Trek because I get off my lawn. Again, even though Picard kind of made me want to stop taking my heart medication because it was so damn lack of hope. But the fan films, they really let you flesh out these stories and characters in ways that modern Trek really doesn't, because that was a real big risk, and it really was in the vein of I think it's called Beyond the Farthest Star, I think, on DS9. It was that episode of Benny Russell where he's a paper writer telling the story, and to me, I mean, it was so unlike anything DS9 had done. And to me, that was kind of like your guys' version of that, where it was like, this is so far beyond any fan film, because it's really not. And again, I'm sitting there watching, like, did he upload the wrong film? Like, what is this? But it was so good. Daniel Vance posted your guys' YouTube channel, so everybody in the chat can post that there. And again, I will be putting it in the description, so everybody click on that. If you guys are not in the live chat. But I love the fact that you guys take those risks. Most people don't. They want to do their version of Kirk or their version of Spock, and that's so fucking boring, because it's like, come on, man, don't live vicariously that way. Take some chances. Even if the film sucks, take a chance. And you guys do that with each film that you pass out. You guys had the R2D2 type machine in one of your films.
Yep.
And who does that?
That one was a love it or hate it. And we did get a lot of love for that one, and I personally loved it because, like I said, I started out wanting to do Star Wars films because I'm of the exact age that Star Wars was marketed to me. I was 10 in 1977, so I was their target audience, and I got the opportunity to grab an R2D2 unit. I'm like, and that's another one that I met the guy who owned that, and then asked him if he would be willing to do a film, and he said yeah. So I'm like, well, I need to get on this, because my mantra is, if somebody says they want to do something, you do it now before they change their mind. So I went home that night, wrote that episode, sent it out to him, and that was another one that was bang, 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 let's get this done.
Well, the one thing that I've noticed about you, like every time we talk, like you are very much that way. You're very much like, let's go. I mean, I talked with you when we shot Melbourne. I think it was like maybe 9 months before we did Melbourne, and I was like, I kind of want to do, I want to do the lights blue like yesterday's Enterprise. I kind of want a different captain's chair. Like I don't want to be just a regular Constitution class bridge. Like what can we do different? Could we do a different chair? And you're like, I can do a mock-up chair. And you did. I mean, you were very much like boom on point, like something very different. A lot of people they have, everyone has an idea, but they procrastinate and then they never get to it. And the one thing that you've shown is that you can take that idea and just, if you just run with it, you can make it work. And you've shown that you don't need bridge sets or Star Trek sets, or you don't need mock-up hallways to tell a Star Trek story. You just need an idea and run, go. you know and most people forget that. They think, oh, I don't have, where am I going to shoot this? You have green screens, you have wooded areas everywhere. Go shoot something.
Yeah, it doesn't have to take place on the ship. And if you want to start on the ship, like you said, green screen, transport them down. Okay, done with the ship. Let's do a planet episode. It doesn't have to be on the ship. It's nice if it is, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah. Well, I know in one of my films, Gary Davis had he made me one of those the viewer things, the com box, and I went in my bathroom because my bathroom's painted blue, and I was like, well, that's close enough to gray. I mean, it's bright colors for the old Connie ships. I mean, all you kind of need is just a weird looking color, and you can kind of get away with anything. If it's bright and pops at you, you can kind of get away with anything. But I literally held my phone in one hand and I held the combox thing here. I mean, it's very ghetto because, again, at the time I really wasn't, I'm not known for shooting, comfortably, but I was literally just reading my line, what's my line? Okay. And then I shot the thing, so I'm holding one hand, but it's one of those things where it's like very limitedly. I mean, you can tell I'm scrunched, but it's like people, they think you need all of these sets in the world, but you really don't, very limited. You can make a lot, it's what your passion is, but you've kind of taken that passion and just continued to go every step of the way. You and Dan have made some wonderful films. How many exactly do you have out with Federation Files?
I think there's 10 released right now. 10. I think it's 10. I'd have to count. I don't know. I know we start with number 0, so I don't know. I'm just seeing a post from Josh. I think it's 10 out at the moment. Dan can correct me if he's on there. I'm not. I don't remember. It might be 11.
Mm-hmm.
Because we just released No Good Deed. That No Good Deed might be 11.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's 11. We've got a couple more going right now.
So one that I do kind of want to bring up is you took a film that was kind of on the cutting room floor for a long time, and you kind of did something with it that that it's one of my pet peeves, as you and I've discussed several times, is when you film something, show it. Don't ever let it be on the cutting room floor, because people put work into it, they put time into it. It's a waste if it's never seen. And you kind of took that footage and did something with it. Would you like to talk a little bit about the film and what that was like?
Well, I will, except for I've done that twice, so I'm not sure which one you're talking about.
You did? Oh, hot dog.
So Equinox Effect was one, and then Friends and Foes was the other one. So I'm not sure which one you're asking about.
Well, let's talk about both of them since you have two.
Okay.
And I will go back and have to obviously catch up on one, because a lot of things miss my way. So obviously I'm missing one. So go ahead and talk about both of them, and we'll enlighten the audience as well as myself.
Sure. Okay. Well, one leads into the other one, oddly. So I had been working with a film called The Equinox, The Time of Night, which had John Savage and some other actors were going to be in it. And obviously it didn't come to fruition. They did some fundraising. I got involved in it, helped them set up a shoot up Cawley set. So we went up there, and the stuff that ended up being in the Equinox Effect was the stuff that I was involved with shooting up at Cawley's place. So I was involved with that from the beginning. After several years of nothing else happening on it, I contacted the executive producer and said, "Hey, it seems like this is dead. Would you mind if I just do something with it so that the people that worked on it, can have something to look at?" So he didn't have possession of the original footage, which really was sad because it would have looked better if we had, the actual footage. We had basically YouTube footage available, which really made Dan's job really hard because we had to go back and redo all the audio with voiceovers and everything. So none of the audio in there is original. As a matter of fact, Dan voiced over John Savage's part. So, anyway, so I got what footage we could get off of YouTube and a couple videos that had been sent, as dailies, over the course of trying to do that film. Sat down, looked at what I had, wrote a story around it that at least could make it into a complete episode story rather than just, the one scene they had. And then while I was putting that together, I was aware of several other fan films that had started and never came to fruition. So I'm like, on the background of all the monitors in that one, I'm like, I'm just gonna see who will let me use footage, and I'm just gonna, for Easter eggs, just throw them on those monitors. So while people are saying lines, if you watch the monitors, you'll see footage from other films that you may or may not have heard of and that are never going to be done. So I contacted everybody I had heard of, and everybody responded except one, and everyone responded in the affirmative. So they sent me what they had and gave me permission to use what they had. And one of those people was Michael Dempsey from Star Trek Origins. And when he started sending me footage, it was like, oh my gosh, they pretty much had shot an entire episode, just never did anything with it. So I messaged him back. I said, Michael, I was, expecting, 30 seconds of something. I said, and I'm putting it in. The answer to Daniel Vance is yes, there was an animated series that we did. So I got a hold of Michael afterwards and said, hey, I'm putting 30 seconds of Origins in this, but with what you've given me, can I finish the episode you guys started? And he's like, of course, let me send you more. So that led into then the second rescue film, which was Friends and Foes, which has Kirk marooned on a planet after being attacked by Klingons. It's actually George Kirk. It's not James Kirk. So that episode, all the footage in that was shot 10, 12 years ago. So he sent me the script, he sent me the film footage that he had, gave me the thumbs up to do whatever I want with it. So I wrote a bookend story around that where we could actually get them off the planet because they didn't have any ship shots of any kind. So all they had was planet stuff because they didn't have sets. Hang on one second. I'm on a live interview. That was my daughter. Sorry. So I wrote a story around that and put together that film. And oddly, they shot a second episode, and he's sending me that footage. So there might be another third rescue film in the next year or so. So I'm not sure if that addressed what you exactly wanted, but the one film led into me getting footage from other ones. And actually, after Equinox Effect came out, I had some people in Europe send me some footage. I guess they thought was not done. So they sent me footage from some stuff they did, hoping to get it in Equinox Effect, but that film was already done. But so I actually have some footage from other films as well that I may squeeze into something in the future.
See, and that's type of stuff that it's when you're able to take stuff that's on a cutting room floor, regardless whether it's the same one. That's I think that's the beauty of being able to do these type of films, because again, some people get halfway completed stuff and then can't do it, and then I've always thought that was tragic because again, going back to again my first reaction, or my first thing that I shot, I believe it was my first thing. It was the Barada stuff that we
Yes.
did back, and that was always. Yeah, I see that, Matthew. I think the echo's gone now. I believe I don't. For some reason, an echo pops up from time to time, and I don't know why. I think my phone. I think it's just my phone sucks, honestly. But I don't know why it does that sometimes. Yeah, but yeah, it seems to resolve itself. Yeah, if it does that again, forgive me. I'll try to lower my voice so it doesn't echo as bad. I don't know why it does that. I don't know why. So I apologize ahead of time. Um, but like when we shot the Barada stuff, and again it just sat in limbo. I think for what 2 years, I think it was,
At
and
least.
then yeah, I think 2 or 3 years, and then we were able to get it. And I think you have. I think you also have the footage, if
I
I'm not
do. I
mistaken.
actually had written a script around it because Michael King had said I could go ahead and use it, but since it's already been completed, that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
Because
Um.
you did an episode. Was it the Bahalo Stone? Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And part of like, and that was honestly like my, because I remember I was like, hey, can you shoot this? Can you shoot this? And I want to shoot like, you know, and everyone was like, I don't see how you're gonna make a film out of that. Like it can't be done. Um, and I was like, trust me, like just trust me, because again, like, and that was in the early days of filmmaking for me, uh, and everyone I think was kind of like, I don't know if you can do this, and I'm like, just trust me. Like everyone has a vision for what they, because again, when you're able, like you said, you're able to put stuff on monitors, so you don't necessarily have to explain everything. And for me,
Right.
in my mind, I'm like, okay, if this dude's having, he's hallucinating visions, I don't have to explain it. It's his way of seeing things, and so in my mind, it's like I just got to tell this core story that he's seen glimpses. So to me, it's like it makes sense. So just trust the vision. But I love the fact that people are sending you stuff because again, when you can pick that stuff off the cutting room floor and then show people, hey, this is what they did. That's the beauty of these films because it means that someone's going to get to see that, and that might be the thing that sets those people off to make their films. Again, it's tragic that some people will never get their stuff seen, and I don't like that. So I love the fact that you're able to take that and run with it. So that's awesome. I can't wait. You know, so
And there is Barada's footage in Equinox as well. I don't know if you saw it. Um, but we on their scene, then we changed their view screen that they were looking at to put then a third, uh, you know, unmade film in it. So the screens that they were looking at on yours, if you look at mine, I put something else in there. So there's another fan film playing on their screen that they're looking at while we're looking at it on my screen. So it's 3 fan films deep.
I like that. You're like a film and a film and a film. Like I like that. It's a very euphoric. I like that. I like that.
So
So so so going into you've worked on, let's see, your own sets. You've worked on the Continue sets. You've worked on the old Starbase sets. You've worked on uh, James Cawley sets. You've worked on almost every set there is, like every major set that there is. Um, is is there a set that you haven't that you kind of want to, or
I'm friends with the guy that does Eagle. He's got a little set up in Minnesota.
ah yes.
So I want to figure out how to utilize his set in something as well. Um, it just hasn't come to fruition yet. But no, I've been around a little bit, and I've shot with people who don't have sets too. When we did Secret Voyage, there's no sets at all for that. That when they're in their shuttlecraft, that's all CG, and Craig did a wonderful job on that. But yeah, Secret Voyage. The only part of that I was most of it shot out in the desert, and it was 106 degrees. The cameras kept shutting down on that. Um, but yeah, that was something, shooting that, because makeup, it just won't stick to you because you're sweating so much. And um but I think he had a wonderful cast. I enjoyed working with that group as well. But yeah, as far as sets go, I've been on Alex's set. I haven't, Alec Peters, haven't shot on it. Don't know if I will. I guess if I do a story in that timeline, maybe because we are on speaking terms. It's not one of the people who's mad at other people that I work with. I guess right now everything changes day to day. So
It's the fan films. It changes like the weather, you
yeah,
know.
you just never know. Yeah, who's not talking to who on what day, and quite honestly, um, if it's not directly ire at me or the other way around, I don't get involved in it. If Joe Blow is not talking to Tom Turkey, I don't care as long as I'm not involved in it. So I'll talk to them both. I mean, if they directly do something to me, then that's a whole nother story. Then that's between me and them. But I'm not going to choose sides on whatever spat is going on.
Right.
So and that's probably why I've been able to work with so many groups is because I really stick within myself. I do my job. I have fun. I went out and shot at Pacific 201. That was fantastic. That was all green screen. These green screen guys nowadays are fantastic.
Yeah.
But and of course there was the Romulan War. We shot green screen at Warp 66. So my scenes there were actually shot here, and we just sent them in. So but yeah, I've been on all the sets that I'm aware of that I wanted to be on. Would like to take a look at John Broughton's new sets.
I think we're all kind of let's see here. So speaking of people, and productions that you've worked with and been around, there's this small production. I don't know if anyone's really heard of them. They're kind of a throwaway production. It's called Avalon. Um, you know,
I've heard of them.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. If you like that kind of stuff, they're okay.
yeah, yeah. So how exactly did you and Josh, get to meet and kind of form? Because you guys, I feel, and again, it could be from an outside looking in. I feel like you guys kind of have a symbiotic relationship because every time Josh makes a post, he's always plugging you guys, and you guys are always almost joined at the hip per se. You guys are. Yeah, Avalon Small Time, as Josh just posted. Avalon Small, exactly. You are no con star, my friend. You are no con star.
Yeah, he wishes he was Federation Files.
There you go.
No,
Exactly.
actually, I heard you introduced us backdoor wise. But it's kind of like when you go away to college and you're looking for a roommate. You don't know anything about the people. You just kind of get thrown together. But I know that he had shot down in Georgia and wasn't able to finish everything, and I believe he approached you and you told him, see what we got to say. Maybe we'll let him shoot here, and he's been shooting here ever since. So I guess I blame you for all of the trouble I'm having with them.
See, it's been so long. I don't really remember. Like that was not a cheap plug for me, by the way. I don't really remember. That's how bad my mind is. I don't really remember.
Yeah, but he credits you with because he said he didn't even know there were sets in Arkansas when he started shooting. But he credits you with pointing him toward us.
Oh, well, bless. I feel like Josh credits me for a lot of things I don't get. One day he's going to get arrested and he's going to give me credit, and I'm going to get very chafed wrists, for that. So I don't.
Told me it was okay. but yeah, we've shot a lot together. That he's doing I guess he'd call basically an alternate universe because he does different uniforms and stuff, which is really kind of a blast. We redress the sets, we make it look a little different because he's I think his series is more for today's audience, so it's got to look modern. Where Dan and I, we're trying to emulate 1966. So when you look at our two productions, they do look vastly different, even though we're shooting on the exact same sets because we're both going for something different. and they
Yeah.
both work. And depending on what you like, maybe you like mine because you're 55 plus and you like TOS. Maybe you like his better because he's got a new modern take and it's sleek and it's the production value is great, and he does great camera work and he does different lighting than TOS did, and it all looks great, and I seriously enjoy them both. Of course, I have a bias for mine, but I got to be honest. Avalon Lost might be my favorite fan film.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's Josh's. So,
Well, I think this last one that they had, um, with Pixie and um, I again I'm terrible with names. Um, I just know it's the one with Pixie in it. I think that one is honestly my favorite. Just because the vibe, the hope, the feel of Star Trek is so apparent, and I feel like a lot of um, Star Trek, they try to shoot for that, but they never, it's never quite there, but I agree with you completely. Like you look at, like what you guys do on Federation Files on the look of the bridge, and look at Avalon, and it's 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 visually different, even though it's the same bridge, and that I think is amazing, because like it's amazing how two different people can take the same thing and make it look completely different. And that I love the fact that you don't have to have a million different things. It's you can take the same thing and make it look different. And I love that because my favorite bridge is the Captain Pike bridge from the Cage.
yep.
Nobody at home mistake the Discovery Pike bridge. I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about the very retro, um, Buck Rogers type feel. That one, it's to me that's my favorite bridge. Um, I think there's something that can be said about those aesthetics where it looks very old, even though it's 50 some years old. And I don't mind now going to, Captain James Kirk's bridge and shooting on something like that. I think that they kind of lost something on Discovery by not having that, and even though they kind of updated it, with the LED lights and the fancy schmancy stuff, I think it's respectful to what was. But watching what you guys do on, with modern filming, it is very respectful to the '60s. It looks wonderful. It's nice to be able to show what you can do properly with filming. With the sets, the sick bay, the transporter room. Um, so you guys have what all sets do you guys have up there for people, um, if they were interested to shoot? What all do you have, like room wise, to shoot on? Because you guys have so many things. I mean, it's a kid in a candy factory when you go see that.
I wish we had as many things still standing as you see on film, but a lot of our sets are temporary. So, standing sets, bridge, shuttlecraft, transporter room, sick bay, conference room, corridors. Anything else you see is a temporary set, which usually goes up for that film and is gone. Um, I'm trying to figure out how to make my captain's quarters a little more user friendly because I built that for our for one of Josh's films. We haven't shot in there yet, um, and then we are planning on making a Pike era bridge because we do have two bridge sets, and that's redundant. So we're gonna try to retro one of them and go back to Pike. So maybe we'll do a Pike era episode or two since we have a bridge to do that with. Um, the stuff you've seen more recently, like the Botany Bay set, that was up for a week. That building that was in then was converted to Kirk's apartment, which then came down. That was up for 3 days, and that came down and is now the finishing touches for K7 are getting putting on for the next episode. We're doing a Mud episode coming up, and he'll be on K7. So we have a lot of sets that are one-time use. They go up if you're lucky enough to be there when we're shooting, maybe you can shoot on them. I know that Pixie brought up, she did a little apartment scene in Kirk's apartment while we were there. I don't know when she's releasing that, but she took advantage of that set standing. She came out and helped us shoot that scene, and then as a thank you, she wanted to do something on that set. I'm like, hey, go ahead, we're done. It's yours, but whatever you shoot, just know you can't come back because it's coming down tomorrow.
No reshoots.
Yep, yeah. On the temporary sets, because I have a 20 by 24 building that is basically our temporary stage. So we build what we need for that shoot, and we have the next shoot coming up, so that stuff gets taken down. We currently have a cave set, which was seen in Josh's last film, that is still standing right now. And I think I'm going to shoot something in it before we take it down. But it's in another temporary location that we've not had to repurpose yet.
So going to how big was that cave set that you guys had? Because it looked really good, but like again, like I know for my breakaway sets here, like storage is a big thing, and I don't think a lot of people understand. When you have standing sets, that's one thing, they don't come down, but when you have breakaway sets, you have to worry about banging them, and then storage space, and then so how big was that, and how much is storage space a problem for you and for doing some of that stuff?
Well, see, we don't store any of the temporary sets when it comes down, other than a couple pieces for the captain's quarters I still have. We repurpose them into the next set. So we don't store any of that. So and Josh is telling you that cave set, it may look big, but Josh just knows how to film. Dan just put up the building that cave set in is 24 by 30, but it didn't take up the whole building. It was one wall in that building, so maybe we have 20 feet of wall, and then we made a couple floating wall flats to move around to give you different angles, and then we made some stalagmites and stalactites that we can move around, so it looks like you're in a different part of the cave.
Right.
But it's actually fairly small, and it's really one wall and creative lighting and creative camera work.
See, and that's like that's one of the things that most people don't understand about filmmaking is, it's always about what the camera picks up, because it's what it's what the audience sees, and then like they fill in the rest of the gap, like take the first, I don't know if you ever, I would assume you've seen the first Alien movie.
Yes.
Like you only catch glimpses of the alien, you'll see like a flash here, and then you'll see a flash of this, and then you'll see a flash of it, and our mind fills in the rest of the gap, and it's not till the very end that you see the alien in all its glory, or you'll see like maybe a flash of it, real quick, but like our mind fills in the gap, and that's the way a lot of really good films, or horror films especially, like that's how they do it. Like the real crap ones will show you the full monster right there, and that's crap filmmaking, I feel. But like a lot of good filmmakers will, it's what the camera sees, and our mind fills in the gap automatically. And that's to me, that sounds like a lot of what this is like. Let the audience fill in. Let's get this in, and we don't necessarily have to have this huge, humongous thing, for the entire time. We have to think smart.
Oh my God, that shoot was so fun. The things that happened on that, I don't know how much behind the scenes Josh recorded, but that wall is paper mache, and then the floor, I just bought like 10 bags of sand, and we kept sweeping that sand here and there, and like when we had to do a floor shot, we'd lay the actor on the floor and then sweep the sand up around them so the floor didn't look like a cement floor, and oh my gosh, it was we had a couple good behind the scenes people helping us that day. Shaylin Everett, she helped me build that set because I was sick and I didn't think we were going to done. So I messaged Shaylin, who's a college student here, who's helped me on several shoots, and just ask her what she was doing. He says, hey, I've got the next 3 days off. I'm like, I really need help because I can't do this set by myself because I'm just so sick. So she came down and did the bulk of the work on that, and then she came down on shoot day and helped behind the scenes. And thank God she did, because she had to help me move flats around and move the stalagmites around and sweeping the sand here and there. I mean, it was quite an ordeal to get that done. But as always, it was a lot of fun, and I can't thank her enough for stepping up, because that shoot might not have happened if she did not, or it wouldn't have went off as well as it did. I'll put it that way. We still would have shot something, but without her, Josh would have had a lot less cave.
Mm-hmm. So you and Dan, you guys have been partners for years now. And you guys, he directs some, you direct some, or he's cinematographer, you cinematographer. You guys do like equal sharing of that responsibility, or what? How exactly does that relationship go? Because I know, like, I mean, you guys are also just kind of like I was joking with you and Josh being symbiotic. I mean, you guys are also like two peas in a pod. You guys knocking these out together. What all is that relationship like? Because I mean, you guys are you guys are kind of like the powerhouse, the mega powers in wrestling, back in the day, how it would be.
We tag team a lot. Honestly, all of our films are really a collaborative effort between the main players. And honestly, any one of us could take any title in the credits on it, other than camera work. Dan is 99% of the camera work. I don't see that well. I don't hear that well. So you don't want me running that. Um, but as far as directing and angles and shots and all of that, it's really, we're both there. The job needs to get done. One of us picks it up and does it. I would say I probably am more involved in the story. If we're going to divide off tasks, then I guess I'm the writer and he's the cameraman. But as far as directing goes, um, we even the actors direct. I honestly, when an actor comes in, they know their lines. They've been practicing their lines. We do a rehearsal. If they've, well, for example, they rewrite the lines because they don't like the way something sounds. So a lot of times the actors even write, because it's one thing to write it, it's one thing to hear it in your head, and when you hear it out loud, then maybe that wasn't so good. So all the films are totally collaborative. And I guess if there's an equal opinion one way or the other, I guess then the director would break the tie if we can't decide which way to do something. But honestly, Dan and I could all, we could take director credit on all of them, and we're not the only directors, but even when we have somebody else directing, we're there with giving input as well. So it's really, yeah. I mean, we both do lighting. We both pull cables. We both set, decorate. It's really who has an empty hand at the moment that something needs done is who does it. So you're right. It's very symbiotic. We're practically joined at the hip, because we both know what each other wants and we both know what needs done, and we just get it done.
Well, that's a great, healthy working relationship. I mean, especially when you guys are doing, so many hours of your day go into this. I would say hobby, but I mean, when you take so many hours of your day, it's more than just a hobby. It's almost like a second job. So you have to have a relationship.
Low paying job, let me tell you that.
You have.
I think there's a lot of negative numbers on my paycheck for that.
Yeah, right. Dan says Glenn and I have never butted heads on any issue, and that
because we talk it out. It's if he thinks it goes this way and I think it goes that. Quite honestly, I relent to other people's input more than I put my foot down, because, like I said, it's a collaborative effort, and just because I put it on paper. And this as a writer, just because it's in your head doesn't mean it always translates to paper, and then that paper translating to screen may not work as well. So it's not my way or the highway, it's what works best.
Yeah.
So yeah, if Dan wants to shoot something from a totally different angle than I had envisioned it, well, you know what? He's the editor and he's running the camera. Okay, let's shoot it that way, and I'll take a look at it. And they said I've never gave in to someone else's point of view and then regretted it. I got to be honest. Everyone's there to help, and the input they gave helped, and we have a film. What am I going to say? Like I said, it's our film. It's not my film.
Well, and that's for me. I completely agree in that. I mean, it's when I see the script as simply a guide. I mean, obviously there are some things you have to put your foot down with. Like if the line is there's a warp core breach in progress, and they say something stupid like the transporters are offline. You're like, fucking cut. What are you doing? Like, you can't do that. But if they say, there's a warp core breach in progress, and they say, the warp core's going critical or something, and it's like, okay, that to me, it doesn't change the intent. I'm good with it. Let's go. You know, but so I have no problem as long as you get the next person to their line. I'm good with it. To me, it's as long as the intent is fine and it gets the next person there, I'm okay with it. And a lot of the people that your team and my team have worked with at this point have worked together for years.
Yeah, you stole your
And
wife from me.
what's that now?
You stole your wife from me.
I did. There was Yava. I did. She was an extra on yours, and I was like, "Hey, you want to be my wife?" And she's like, "Huh, who's this? Where's my mace?" Shit. And the only reason she accepted was because she didn't have pepper spray. You know. Um, but the thing is, like, they've worked together for so long. You trust them to, hey, you're in character, so obviously if the person, like you said, we think one thing in our head, how would they say it, and it comes more natural to them saying it the way they say it. So just trust them to do it the way they do. um but yeah, it's one of those things where watching your films, you do also have an ensemble cast of people who are regular. It's not uncommon to see like Allison or Jim, to show up, pop up and be like, oh, yep, I know him. Oh, yep, I know him. And that's one of those things where when you build that type of you know trust with your people, like you're not really going to trust some Johnny come lately where you're like, you don't really know the lingo or but when you trust your people who they'll bring you and you'll bring them, that is also healthy, and it makes a better film. And it's a fun time, like you said, with Josh and you guys laughing and having a good old time. And like you said, with you and Dan, you guys you just don't fight. you know that's good, because it's like you should hang out with your friends. You don't bicker.
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad you brought up Allison, because she's been with us on and off for years, and
Yeah.
she's like my little sister. We bicker at each other nonstop, but it's all in good fun, and we get the job done, and we laugh about it later. And those are the stories we keep telling over and over too. It is basically how one of us is poking it to the other one. We and it was from day one when I met her. I just felt like, hey, I can get away with kind of ribbing her a little bit, and it just exploded from there. So yeah, we both just bicker at each other. It's like we were brother and sister and grew up and have 50 years of hating on each other. But she's a great friend, and I invite her to every shoot. She has a life. We all have a life, so she can't make every shoot, and which is okay because we're an anthology series. You can't have one person in every single episode because at some point someone's not going to buy that they're a different character.
Right.
So when she's available, we use her, and when she's not, she supports us. So, but yeah, I've known her since Walking Bear. She answered a casting call on Walking Bear, and we've done. I think she's been in four, including Walking Bear. I think she's been in four, but always willing to help.
Well, the weekend you guys did Walking Bear, we I think we also shot the one of Michael's segments for I think we did the segments for, because she was also in Michael's.
Yeah.
I think she was in Michael's shot
Isn't
for
she on the bridge
that.
for Animals, right? Isn't she? Isn't she on the bridge for Animals, or was one before that?
I think no, it was. I think it was for animals, if I'm not mistaken. Like I think it was for that because I remember, because the only way I remember stuff is for when I take pictures, because it's like
Yeah.
that's a something, it burns it in my mind, especially when we take like group shots of stuff, or if I take a selfie, which is why I take so many selfies, but I remember we took that group shot, and I remember she was there, and of course, anytime I get to take a picture next to a you know wonderfully attractive lady, I'm like, yay, because in high school, they're like, get away from me, fat boy, but wonderful, charming lady, but I think that was the same weekend you guys shot, because I think you actually lent us uniforms for that shoot with Michael, if I'm not mistaken, but I'm pretty sure.
I'm sure if
Um,
Allison was in it, yeah, she was wearing one of my uniforms for sure. So,
yeah,
so
yeah,
I would have to agree that yes, that's probably the case.
yeah. But anyway, we're
We do
we're
a lot
almost out of.
of shoots too. Like that's a joke with me and Josh is either he's doing a pickup while I'm shooting, or I'm doing a pickup while he's shooting. And of course, we shot uh, pickups for Michael while we were shooting other thing. It's just while the stuff's lit,
Might as well. Yeah.
let's you know.
Well, yeah, even I mean that's the way it's always been. I mean, since I've been in it, since the beginning, like it's always like, hey, we need to get a pickup shot while we're doing it. Okay, I mean, since if we're not shooting this, go grab it real quickly, or at the end of the day, like as long as we're not running, like I mean, to me, I mean that's the smartest way to do stuff. It's like because you can always knock out, and I think that led to my obsession over I can knock out 5 films in one day. Like it's that mad scientist mentality of I can go for more. I mean your mindset of how you make films, and how you see things. I think honestly influenced me a lot because I mean the way you make props and the way you share your generosity of spirit, for looking out for other productions, and you could be, I mean you could honestly be one of those guys that's like fuck them, I don't want to help, look at my phaser collection, I don't need to help you, but you've never done that. In fact, you built me a tricorder, a TMP tricorder. I mean, who does that? And you built a captain's kit.
Easy, by the way. That was not
What?
easy.
No, it's not. And I mean, and you did it. You were like, I just want to see if I could do it. And I'm like,
It was a
what?
challenge. Yeah.
Yeah.
People
Um,
ask me to make props for them, not fan film related, and I don't do that because it's a challenge to do it once, and then
yeah,
after that, I want the next challenge. I'm not going to make 50 TMP tricorders.
yeah,
I made 3 for the shoot that you did. I have the other 2 because I may want to use them sometime, and I gave you one. But I'll
yeah,
probably never make another one.
yeah.
Um,
You had told me you were like, I'll make one. You're like, if you need more, I'm gonna charge you then. I was like, oh no, I'm good,
it,
dude.
it,
One is all right. I'm good. Because I'll shoot around the no one because again I always work on like I don't think I'm gonna have much of a budget, so I'm good. I'm always thankful and grateful, you know. But again, like that's always been the kind-hearted spirit, and when you've come to shoot, you're like, what do you need? Take for instance the when we shot Lexington, you were like, hey, we got these uniforms, what do you need? And because I didn't have Monster Maroon stuff, it was just like, but you were like, what do you need? What can we do to help? And you and Dan have always opened up and had that generosity of spirit, so for me personally, I want to say thank you to you. And I know Dan's not here; he's with us in the chat. Thank you to Dan. Because I know I've thanked you in person or on the phone, but honestly, thank you. Because I wouldn't have a good portion of my films, or at least not in the capacity they're in. But thank you, and for what you do for Josh, yeah, Avalon Universe, for fan films in general. I mean, you guys are good people.
I just do it so like when the Visual Awards come around, I can say that our sets were in all the nominations.
That's it. That's it. It's all
Between
about
me,
detail.
you, and Josh, or the Federation Files, Avalon, and your series, what a lot of nominations this year.
That's it. That's it. That's it. It's. I bet you're on the phone with Eric all the time, going, "Look, you better have me in that. Damn it."
I wouldn't say that, but I think that I do take pride in Arkansas somewhat being the center of Star Trek fan films, because so many films were made in the Arkansas area. I know that you're in Kansas City, but when you shoot on a set, other than the set you're in right now, you're shooting in Arkansas. So Arkansas is like Star Trek Central.
It kind of like it kind of is, like everybody, you can stop right by there,
You think these rednecks down here who know anything about flying a starship?
you'd think.
So
So with that being said, is there anything that you have upcoming that you want to promote? Your next fan film, do you know when it's going to be out?
we wrapped it up. We're not doing anymore. We threw the towel in. I'm not serious.
I was like, wait,
Not
what?
know what to say.
You're quitting on us. I'm gonna say, don't retire 5 times like I have.
No,
Trust me, it's not.
no.
You're gonna come back.
We're working on a sequel to Mud right now,
Mhm.
and then we don't have release dates because we were only about half shot that. We haven't shot anything with Mud yet. We're waiting on David Whitney to. I don't make sense. We're waiting on, but he's playing Mud again, so we've got to get him down here to shoot. We've got a lot of the other scenes shot. We're probably going to shoot our Star Trek, or I'm sorry, we're doing a Stargate episode. It's probably going to shoot in next month. That might be the next one done, although it's not the next one advertised to be released. And we're doing a Space 1999. Now, these are not Star Trek. They're not crossovers. So it's not a Stargate crossover.
It's full fledged. Then
It's just going to be Stargate, and then we're going to be just Space 1999. Another Oakley Brown episode is on probably the docket for next year, and I see Dan just fired me, so so I guess we're not doing anything else. So and then of course Josh is down here working on his next episode as well. I'm not going to tell you the props I'm building for that because I don't know what's secret and what's not. But he did put in a request for some props that everybody will recognize the instant they see them. Now, I actually was working on those today because I think we're shooting the beginning of next month for his next episode. I'm sure you're coming down sometime. We don't have dates set up, but I know that you want to wrap up Constar. I think that's all we have in the docket right now. Of course, I still have all those scripts from when I was a kid growing up. So there's a shuttlecraft, a solely shuttlecraft episode that's been written for years that we may shoot this year because it's an easy shoot. Because our goal has been for a while to try to get 3 a year out. So that's why you'll see like one bigger episode and then a couple of smaller ones, because obviously the smaller ones are easier to do.
right.
But and then Dan's been honing his craft at CG work, so we're getting better CG each
Wow.
time we do it. So yeah, that's a few things we're working on. And Dan is actually working with Mark Edward Lewis on a project that I think he just posted there for you.
Torment of Destiny.
Yeah.
So you say David Whitney is returning as Mud, and
Yeah.
and he was also in. His name is Mud for those of you guys that don't know and are curious for David Whitney being in that character, and he's part of Starfleet Studios.
Yes. Yes.
Okay? So for anyone that doesn't know, click on over to YouTube, type in Starfleet Studios or Facebook Starfleet Studios. Type that in. Go find out. They've got some films over there, some fan films of their own. They've done some Voyager era fan films.
Yep.
Check out David Whitney over there. They've got some good films. Check that out. And go watch His Name is Mud. and check that out. So they've got some upcoming stuff. But share the love over on that channel, subscribe to them, and check it out, see what they got. So, all right. So with that being said, is there anything else you got on the agenda that you want to chat before we head out for the day, buddy?
No, I don't think I have anything new. Of course, there's the Indie Boom Fan Fest coming up. We enter that every year, so we'd love your support on there. We have Dan's starring episode in this year. The Green Manifesto will be competing in that Fan Fest. So we have that coming up in December. And of course, the B Show Awards, which I talked about a little bit earlier, are coming up December 11th. You've got a couple films in there. Josh with Avalon has quite a few nominations as well, and Federation Files has a few nominations. So I don't know if they're going to stream that live. It'd be nice if they did, because it'd be nice to have a nice audience for that.
Yeah.
Those are on the 11th. And we're rooting for anybody we've worked with in whatever capacity. So rooting for you, rooting for Josh, rooting for Sam Cockings. He has a film in there that I was a producer on as well. So hopefully, we can just keep making film, keep having fun.
So for real quick, for those that don't know, the Indie Boom, that's the voting thing that.
Yes, yeah. If you click on the film you want to vote for and you just watch the film, that's one vote. If you watch the film all the way through, that's a vote. And you can vote more than once. It's kind of like being in Chicago: vote early, vote often.
So if you sit there all night and just put the film on repeat, you could, for 12 hours. That's
you could technically give yourself 1,000 votes. I'm not computer savvy enough I do know that it's on Vimeo, so. I know that you can loop things on YouTube. I don't know if you can loop it on Vimeo, and I don't know if that works. But I do know if you click refresh or whatever, then you can vote a second time or however many times you want to vote. So yeah, that is a fan driven award. So if you win that, that's because the fans voted for you. It's not some subjective, somebody you don't know, didn't like one thing about your film, so you're out. It's really fan support.
Now, what is the link to the? Two questions.
Yes.
One, when does that start? When does that end?
I believe it starts December 20th, and it runs through like the first couple of days of the year. So I'm just, without having it in front of me, I think like the 20th of December to like the 4th of January. It's Indie Boom. You could Google Indie Boom 2020. I guess 2021, and the nominations would be there, and you'll see posters for the films. You just click on the poster, it'll send you to a Vimeo link, and then you watch it. You can watch it directly on Vimeo. If you copy the link, you don't have to go through their website, but I just go on to Indie Boom, find the film, click the film, watch the film. That's a vote.
Okay, well, then that answers the second question. So well, I guess I have another question.
Okay.
Maybe a week or so before, would you make a little video kind of like this, where when that day comes, you and I can both talk about it and say, hey guys, click on the link below and do this. And so therefore, when that day comes, I can just copy the link in the description, and boom, we can have people on this channel actively do that. And every day I will be sharing that out, because people will ignore a post or a link, but when they watch a video, I'd like to do something that will get my audience to do that. And then I will have NerdTube also do the same thing, because they will push that content, and I'll have them make a video as well. So
that would be awesome. Yeah, we'll take all the support we can get, because the competition gets tougher every year as more people find out about it. There's more entries. I think the first year that we entered, I think we were the only Trek film in it. And then once we won, the other Trek people took notice, and so we've won a couple more times, but it is getting tougher and tougher, because there's a lot more of the similar content. So now you got to decide, not only am I going to vote for a Trek film, but which Trek film
one
to vote for. So their first year, a Star Wars film won, and then since then the winner has always been a Trek film. So at least let's get a Trek film to win, even if it's not mine.
Right, right. Well, like I said, it maybe a minute, like I said, just like a crowdfunding thing, like just a minute to say, hey, click on this. This is what we want. Like, just, you can do this as many times, like show support, like just a minute video around that time. So when the link drops, we can be as much as possible. So, but all right. So that being said, I want to say thank you, Glenn, for coming on. I want to say again, thank you to you and Dan for allowing the fan films to come there to shoot and putting out your guys' films, being a staple of the fan film community. You guys are both awesome people. I want to say thank you to everybody in the chat for joining us. Appreciate it. I want to say happy birthday, Scott. Again, 57 years old. Um, you know, I hope to get to be 57. Got to keep taking that heart medication, so I'll stay away from Star Trek Picard so I don't get frustrated. So that being said, William Wells is supposed to be his birthday is next week. So happy early birthday in case I forget, because I am forgetful. Yeah, that being said, everybody at home, thank you for coming. Everybody watching in the rewind, thank you for joining us. So everyone, be genuine, be safe, and keep on geeking on, guys.
Live long and prosper.